G'day folks, TheNoobKarter here, aka Bobby, aka... yeah, I still don't have a third nickname. My apologies, everyone. I will endeavour to get a new one for next time. I might test them out. We'll see how we go, okay? Anyway, welcome to my first actual race. Lining up there, as you can see I was in last. Had a bit of a slow start, that was on purpose though. I decided that I wanted to have my own sort of race, have my own clean race and get through my first event completely unscathed. So I held back and made sure I was clean through that first corner by giving people some room. Looking through it, I'm probably still overdriving quite a bit at this stage, but you'll see as this race goes on and second and third race comes through, I do smooth out a fair bit and get a fair bit quicker. I did start in last. That was mostly because everyone else was faster than me. Yeah, that was the main reason. I was never really under the impression I was going to be anything other than a back runner though for my first race. It'd be silly to think that I'd come into a group of experienced racers and sort of beat them all, but I was happy to be in touch. You can see I'm keeping up with a few of them here. I was happy to be in touch with them and sort of been able to keep up. Get pretty close to this guy here. His name is, we'll call him Zed for today, and he's probably the person I battle with the most throughout the weekend. He's at relatively same speed. He's been to a few events, but seems to be about the same speed as myself. So lap 3, new personal best. I was quite proud of this. Obviously, in race 2 and race 3, I do a lot better than this. Along with watching the race here today, I also wanted to talk about the costs involved in rental karting versus owning, why I'd made my decision to go into rental karting, hopefully to help some people out in making that decision. So let's have a quick look at that cost. I've actually always been interested in go-karting, and despite not really having much experience in driving one, I've actually looked into joining a club a few times, but unfortunately in my local area there doesn't seem to be an actual club. There is one. They're looking to build a new track as far as I can tell, but that hasn't happened as yet. I had been aware that this sort of sprint events and endurance events had happened at my local track, but I'd never really thought of joining until recently, when I was invited, and that was mostly due to time constraints. Back to talking about the costs, just so you were aware, I'm going to be talking about, get really close to this guy. Should have ducked out to the inside there. I was quicker than him. I pulled out, I made a mistake, and started overdriving here trying to catch up. Lost some time. Probably a little bit too apprehensive in my first race, in my first event. There's a couple of times where I've caught right up and then sort of just stayed there. I really should have been a bit more aggressive. Dominate, don't hesitate, as some people would say. Back to the cost. Please be aware that everything is in Australian dollars for this, so your experience may vary depending on where you are and costing and all that sort of thing. But let's talk about rentals first. So far, to enter this event, to turn up, cost me $300 Australian. So that was $150 for a helmet, my own helmet, $60 for gloves, and $100 for the actual race entry. Now, I didn't actually need... I got close to this guy again. Just let him get out of my thing. I made a mistake and let him get out of my my sights a little bit there. Just overdrove it. Hopefully with experience I start doing a bit better with that sort of thing. Now, I didn't really need a helmet or gloves. I just was more comfortable wearing my own helmet, and the gloves I'd had a few times driven without gloves and then sort of felt like I was going to get a blister, so I thought gloves might be a good investment. If I did a full year of these basic sprint events at the 3 tracks that the championship runs, I'd be doing 10 events. 8 of those are just the normal sprint where you've got 3 10-minute races, and 2 are feature events where you've got 2 10-minute races and 1 30-minute race. Now each normal sprint costs about $100 and each feature event costs about $150. So if I did all the events on the calendar for this championship, including the cost of the helmet and my gloves, for my first year of complete karting would be $1,300 or $1,300. Now this doesn't include any practice sessions, driver training, which they do a karting academy, or any sort of extra endurance events or anything like that. Adding those extra would definitely increase the costs quite quickly, but I feel it would complicate the comparison between rental and owning a little bit, so I'm going to leave them out for now. If we're looking at rolling up to your first race owning a kart, someone else has actually done a chart of what it would cost for an Australian to enter a race with a new kart with a KA100 engine. Everything included: helmet, suit, gloves, everything you need, licensing fees, membership costs, all that sort of stuff. And it'd be about $5,760 Australian, which is a pretty big outlay. Obviously, if you went second hand with a few things, you could get that cheaper. But still, your outlay would be, I would say, over $4,000 to get up to your first event. Obviously, second, third, fourth event would cost a lot less because you've already got the equipment, you've already got the kart. You'd really only be looking at paying for fuel, tyres, and the event entry. But I feel like it would still take a while to break even owning a car versus renting them and just going out there. Yeah, that's probably my biggest thing with it. I feel like, for myself anyway, I'm not going to be doing a ton of these events every year. I'm not going to do every event. Due to family commitments and work commitments, I'm not going to be able to do them. So that being the case, if I bought a kart, it would take a long time for me to break even, due to the ad hoc nature of me being able to enter these races. Your results obviously will vary. You may get all your equipment out, like all your enjoyment out of karting, from having control of the kart and making lots of little changes that give you the edge to be a little bit quicker or faster than everyone else. And that's just not possible with rental karts. Also, rental karts are pretty slow compared to like owned karts. So I could imagine after a number of years of rental karting, you can get a bit numb to the power and speed of these karts. I'm still very much getting used to how to drive them, the speed of them, how to keep your momentum. So there's lots for me final lap here. I still am quite close to this Z. I feel like there was a couple of times I could have made a couple of passes. I feel like I'm quicker in sector 1 especially than him. He gets away a little bit after this turn 7 up here. Race 2 and 3 I definitely get a handle on that a lot better. I feel like I can make up some time there. I think I overdrove there a little bit. I wasn't taking this corner right, or this one, I was overdriving that one too, so he got away from me a little bit there. And that is the end of my first race. Checkered flag, there we go, done. Didn't crash, didn't kill anyone, well done me. Felt like I had a pretty good average lap time there. A little bit higher than my fastest ever lap, but I've actually beat my fastest ever lap in that. I do go on to beat it again in both race 2 and race 3 by a substantial margin, in fact. But I was proud of myself for getting through my first race here. And what I was saying about the owning karts, I mean, if you're numb to the speed of these, or if you just like tinkering, or you're trying to get into more motorsport or higher levels of competition, then owning your own kart definitely makes a lot of sense. But for me, anyway, it is rental all the way, at least for now. And that's me signing off. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it helps someone looking at the costs of rental versus owning. Have a good night.